Late night. Here we go. Day 7. Big stretch. Um, we did. We finally did Wolfenstein last night. Interesting game. Old game. Of a period. That PS2, Xbox period where like the game looks better than an N64 game, but doesn't have the polygon count of a modern game. So you look at stuff, you're like, oh, this isn't too bad. But when you get up close to stuff, the textures are a little old and schmooshy, and people are a bit boxy. They're not bad. They're not horrible. And it was different. It was that early era because maybe they were developing for multiple platforms, or just because of the power requirements of the age. Not a ton of enemies at once. Um, uh, Lots of weird little things like modern games. You just take it for granted that you could have a toggle crouch or not. And then there's things you can do. Like you might want to toggle crouch, particularly on a joystick or something, but on a keyboard, maybe you just want to hold Alt or Control to crouch, and that's easy to hold that down while multi-crab fingering other buttons and stuff. I just got a text, but I don't know what it was. So then we look around, and people have done a lot of work to, like, it didn't have controller support. You can have controller support. They've like hacked in a toggle crouch, and we could go in and put that in. I might do that sometime before the next recording and surprise Andy with it. There's like a whole page of hacks for the game just because it was kind of old, like how to make it widescreen, how to make it ultra widescreen. I don't know if I saw any like high res texture packs or anything. That would be kind of neat too. Like spring a bunch of neat stuff on him like that. We're playing the Good Old Games version, GOG, now called GOG. Used to be called Good Old Games. I still just call them Good Old Games. It's like old wrestlers. Like they call each other by the names that they knew each other when they met. So some people are like, Terry Hogan, and like, who? Oh, sorry, Hulk Hogan. Little things like that. So I think of it that way. As for the game itself, not a lot of enemies at once. They kind of hit hard because of that, because they need to make the encounters like meaningful, since you're not mowing dudes down. The damage is amped up, which makes it feel a little more realistic. The storytelling is a little light. We went from Eternal Darkness, which was like all atmosphere and storytelling, to this, which is like definitely combat and looking for hidden walls that you on until they open up and flip the switch, and then the fireplace slides open and you get more stuff. So interesting there. I'm very pleased to see it's like fully voice acted and stuff. So that's neat. Some really good voice actors: Cam Clark and B.J. Ward, who's like Scarlet from G.I. Joe. All kinds of people. Charles Napier, who's an excellent voice actor. I thought I heard Clancy Brown in there, but it was not him. But yeah, like really interesting that way. Good voicing, just good choices for voice, and good acting on the voice, like good directing. Like plenty of times you're like good voice acting, but the directing is bad, where they're like, no, this is how your dude feels. He's angry, not like confused. You're like, oh. It's the difference between saying like, what are you doing? And being like, what are you doing? That's like voice directing. Which one? One's like, what are you doing? And the other one's like, what are you doing, you madman? So good stuff there. Don't think we're going to have a Cray video tonight. He's got some kind of family issues cropped up. I'm going to check in with him after this to see if he just wants to bend my ear and complain. But other than that, probably won't be putting anything up yet. It's Easter. Last night, watched 2 movies over this Easter break so far. Easter weekend. We watched Godzilla versus King Kong, or Kong versus Godzilla. What is it? Godzilla versus Kong. A very stupid movie. Like dumb. Let me say dumb. Like a lot of dumb things happen. Like big dumb monkeys punch lizards, punch robots. And little kids and janitors like solve worldwide conspiracies for their podcasts and stuff. It's like, this is just really dumb. A lot of nods to traditional like Godzilla storytelling stuff though. So in a weird way, it's like faithful in its like badness. It feels more like an American adaptation of a bad Japanese kaiju movie, a Godzilla movie. I was very surprised. I didn't expect to see spoilers. If you haven't seen it, just fucking fast forward for like a minute. It had Mecha Godzilla in it, and I was interested to see how they decided to integrate Ghidorah into Mecha Godzilla. And traditionally, Mecha Godzilla in some of the older films is actually has like the bone structure of the original Godzilla destroyed by the oxygen destroyer. In order to support the giant frame of the robot, we didn't have an alloy that was like strong enough, so they used his bones, and then the bones like awaken to the like technology, and they like merge, and suddenly he's back, and that's why it turns evil instead of being controlled by people. In this, they used Ghidorah's head, one of Ghidorah's heads in a like cockpit at a base, and then another head inside the robot, and said that Ghidorah's necks are so long that he doesn't use electrical impulses to communicate, he uses telepathy. And so this is like a built-in radio between these skulls. I was like, oh, that's an interesting thing. Someone spinning some thoughts about the biology of Ghidorah. So that was interesting, and they do a lot of work making Kong a character, because I don't think you can do that with Godzilla without getting blowback. If you give Godzilla too much personality and history and a family and stuff, it doesn't work out. But if you say that Kong is sad and lonely and wants a family and a home, and teach him sign language and shit, okay, cool. You get away with it. I don't know about okay, cool, but you get away with a lot more than you do teaching Godzilla sign language. So, you know, they had the traditional like kid that like talks to the monsters, kids that solve world conspiracies, adults that aren't listening. All the tropes are there. Beautiful movie. Very, very good special effects. Lots of stupid stuff happening. Like, maybe not. Maybe they wouldn't win, but a challenger for the stupidity thrown in action mania of somebody like I was gonna say Paul Verhoeven. That's not right. Oh crap! The guy that does The Rock and stuff. The boys. Oh man, all the Michael Bay. Though, like a challenger. I think Michael Bay still's got him in stupid action, dumb. But this was trying. The idea of giving like King Kong like a power-up weapon that like blocks the breath and gives him juice, and they integrated callbacks to the other movies. In the original Godzilla vs. Kong, he gets struck by lightning after being buried alive, and the lightning powers him up, makes him able to actually like fight Godzilla instead of getting his butt kicked. They do a thing like that here where he's like, he gets his butt kicked, and then they defibrillate him, and he's like, oh, I'm stronger than ever. Pretty sure people who have been near death and then been resuscitated aren't like, I'm stronger than ever. This is not a case of whatever doesn't kill me makes me stronger. This is a case of whatever almost killed me really fucked me up. But yeah, you know, then I watched House with a Clock in Its Walls, which was a book I read as a kid. And boy, did I not remember any of the book, or they just didn't adapt it faithfully. Don't know. Decent enough actors, Jack Black, Cate Blanchett. It's fine. It's fine. Not too much dumb, like compared to the dumb. The dumb in this made sense as like a kid movie is dumb. And honestly, there's a little story in there about the young boy and his friend becomes popular at school and kind of starts like being like ignoring him, being a dick to him, being like, I'm gonna go hang out with the cool kids, and he's like, I just want my friend back. And I was like, yeah, there's like a real, like, there's a story, you know? So that was fine. Especially as something that I was like, oh, I remember loving those books. Then I go look, and there's like 12 of those books, and I'm like, I think I read like 2? Yeah? How many books? What? Yeah? Alright, so we'll be back tomorrow with another check-in. Probably some lighter stuff until we get to next Wednesday and have a proper update from PT. Going to be looking at maybe cutting down the frequency of these videos, as there just isn't much to check in since I'm not going to PT and doctor visits and stuff. Maybe tomorrow we'll discuss ridiculous stuff going on with insurance. Not a big deal, but I'm going to call in and find out what's going on, and then we'll talk about it here and give you some advice about documenting and keeping all your paperwork, which I did. So they're fucked. All right, guys. See you tomorrow.